Hello, my name is Natalie, or Burn Lemons, and today I will be reviewing and discussing Lucifer Valentine's Vomit Gore trilogy, which includes Slaughtered Vomit Dolls, Regurgitated Sacrifice, and Slow Torture Puke Chamber. These are all weird vomit gore horror whatever films. I'll be discussing the pros and cons of them, kind of what I'd change about them, and my overall rating if I recommend them, and I'll give you a spoiler alert. I don't really like any of these. So before I get into this, I would like to say I absolutely despise Lucifer Valentine as a person. He's not a good person. Off the top of my head, he's done every single bad thing. I think the main actor for all of these films, who plays Angela, I'm pretty sure she was groomed by him. So, and if you actually watch the films, you would assume no one in the right mental state who's a good person would make such a thing. So yeah, I watch these on a legal website, so he ain't getting a cent from me, and I'm not recommending these to anyone, so. And yeah, in advance, trigger warning, I will be talking about gore and vomiting and beating women and assault and all of those lovely things. So if you don't want to learn, if you don't want to hear about that right now, you don't want to think about that, go watch something else. So yeah, but I hope you like my opinions, or don't. I don't know, but yeah, this is my first film review, proper, so I'm excited. But anyway, so okay. Starting off with the first film in this trilogy, Slaughtered Vomit Dolls. This released in 2006, and like the rest, it's just vomit, gore, psychological, physiological, horror, art house film. I don't know. It's a lot of big words. I don't care about it. And it has a very thin, plot. Being the main character, Angela, she is a prostitute and a bulimic, and it's just her going crazy and hallucinating her and her fellow strippers getting killed by a satanic killer. Yeah, okay, so the first thing, good thing I'd like to say about this, the plot does sound interesting. That did actually interest me. That's it. I apologize, I do have notes here. The start of the film contains, I think they're real clips of, I can't remember her name and I apologize, Angela, her as an actor, as a child, she's singing, playing around, dancing, talking, I think she says something like, oh, I'm gonna be a star, I'm gonna be famous, the whole world. I don't know, I'm pretty sure she says something like that. And I really like the inclusion of this in this film, because if you mix it with the poster, which is a childish crown drawing, and then you start the film off with a child going la 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 la, I like that considering the rest of the film. Back to the satanic killer, which I mentioned before because I don't like him. I think it's his stage name, real name, whatever. It's on Letterboxd. It says Hank Skinny. I'll just call him that. This is the only film where I feel like he's needed, because he's a part of the murderous hallucinations. And that's all I can say. He does some pretty brutal things to these poor ladies. It has a pretty unforgettable scene, and I like to say I don't get disturbed or feel sick by films often, because I know they're fake. I've watched plenty of bad, gross ones, and there's only 3 films that I've ever watched that have made me have to look away and actually gag. First one being Lars von Trier's Antichrist. And yes, that is one of my favourite films of all time, but that scissors scene, I've rewatched the film twice, and each time I haven't actually seen that scene because I just go, ugh, I can't watch it. The second film is Tetsuo the Iron Man, which is a Japanese metal gore film, and that whole film, I felt sick the whole time. I couldn't stand it. I did watch the whole thing. One day I might rewatch it. But there's this scene at the beginning where he gets a piece of metal and just goes with it on his teeth. And I could feel the puke in my throat. And then in this movie, in Slaughtered Vomit Dolls, there's a scene where Hank Skinny, we see him get a cup, he throws up in it. You know what he does? Chugs it. He does it again and again and again and again. And I was just watching it but without thinking, I had a bottle of water, so I drank from it because I'm thirsty. And the ending is also pretty unforgettable, and it's actually important for the plot of the first and second film because Angela, she drowns herself, which it's actually pretty sad. And even though the plot is hard to connect with and understand, it's still sad because you've learnt that she's bulimic, she's a prostitute. I think in the movie, or I've read somewhere, it said, you know, the character, she had been a prostitute from a young age. So obviously you sympathise with her and you're like, she didn't deserve such a horrible fate, and you get really upset. So that's all of the positives. Despite being the first in the film, it's actually the worst in my opinion. It's astronomically different from the others, and some people, that might be why they like it, but that's why I didn't like it. It just, I felt like Slaughtered Vomit Dolls was kind of like the blueprint, like the idea of what Lucifer Valentine wanted to do with the other films, especially with Regurgitated Sacrifice, because that film's way more extreme. It is the second worst film I've ever seen. It's horrible. It's bad. It's terrible. The worst film I have ever seen is Happy Feet. The visuals are terrible. I've seen that's what people like about it, or the exaggerated filters, you know, the color filtering, you know, how extreme that. I don't like that. It just, there were some points, this might be my fault because I did watch it on my iPhone and I had it a bit far away from me because I was a bit, you know, a bit scared to watch it, which fair enough I was. I should have been scared, so I had it further away from me. But the amount of red colouring and just, I don't know, just it was so low quality and unneeded that I couldn't actually see what was happening sometimes. I couldn't tell if someone was throwing up or getting like de-skinned or some shit like that. So it wasn't good in that sense. The sounds. A lot of people go, oh, the sound design is the best thing ever. I don't like it. I knew going into this film it was either going to be like sound-wise really like high quality and graphic, and I was fearful for that, or I knew it was going to be shit. I was right, it was horrible. All of their voices were like weirdly slowed down and warped, so I couldn't even figure out what was happening and what she was trying to say. Yeah, it's definitely the worst in the series. It's the hardest to watch. I can kind of see the artistic value, but I don't care if it's art. That doesn't mean it's good. Oh, like no one likes modern art, and I see people go like, oh, but you don't understand. Even though it's a big blue canvas, every individual brushstroke, or 66,000 of them, are done in the same particular way. I don't care. I don't like it. I don't want to see it again. I don't want to put it in my house. Okay, I don't want to see this movie again. I don't want to like put it on again, put it on my phone and just go like, cinema. No. Okay, my overall rating for this is a 0 out of 10, which I think was a little bit too nice, but 0 out of 10. And not one point did I even consider giving it a 0.5 out of 10. Yeah, I don't plan to ever watch this. I don't recommend this to anyone. The second film in this trilogy is Regurgitated Sacrifice. It was released in 2008, and it features the Soska sisters, who are two twins, and they've actually been in a couple other films and produced their own films. So they're not like random prostitutes or nobodies that Lucifer Valentine found on the street. So I thought that was like really interesting that they're a part of it. Now, the plot for this, I've got it written down here. I don't understand it. I've tried to reread it. I've had people explain to me. I don't get it. It's basically, like I mentioned, in Slaughtered Vomit Dolls, Angela drowns herself and she's dying. And this film is kind of like her brain function on her way to death or something. But he keeps mentioning Kurt Cobain, and I think it's supposed to be a representation of your brain suffering after suicide. But I don't know. But this was my favourite film in the trilogy. The reason why it's my favourite in the trilogy, and when I say favourite, that doesn't mean I'm going like, oh my god, I'm going to rewatch it all the time, I'm going to recommend it to everyone. No, that just means out of all of them, it's the most decent, okay? And I say that because it's the most artistic and memorable in a way, and well produced. And I say that because the editing and visual like visuals and audio quality is much better than the rest. Like it's like it doesn't even look like it's a part of the trilogy at first, because the rest of them, it looks like found footage. You know, we're using handheld cameras, which, if you know me, I have a love-hate relationship with, and all of that stuff. But this one, it seems, and I'm just saying this from memory, it seems like more stable and well made. Yeah, they, in this film, there, in a lot of the gore scenes, there is a use of just a white bland background, and I actually really liked the use of that, because it like basically forced you to focus on like the gore and stuff that was happening. You couldn't like go look in the background and go like, that's a nice shelf. A weird war paint choice. You couldn't do anything like that. It was just plain white, so you had nothing to do but look at the women hurting other women. At the beginning, we see the two twins, and they're conjoined twins. We see their head get like split apart with a knife, and while it's revolting, it was actually pretty interesting, and it did make me go like, but it was pretty interesting to watch. And when I think of this film, it's the first thing I think of, and it really stuck with me. Then, this is my favourite scene in the film, the disembowelment scene. I promise I'm a really sane and happy person. I really like La La Land. That's a good movie. I think you guys should. I do like happy movies. But this scene, okay, what I did like about this, and mainly this film, is a lot of the movie was women torturing and abusing other women. And if you know anything about me, I for some reason like women going crazy and being like that types of films. Like, I'm bringing it up again, Lars von Trier's Antichrist. What the woman does to the man with that rock. Interesting. Or, I don't know, like the whole, like, Possession as a whole, that film from 81. I like that too. I just like that type of film. Because, like, stereotypically in films, women are always the victim. Always. And even though in these films, the women are still the victim, the other women aren't. They're the abusers. So it's interesting to see like women depicted in that way, rather than them constantly being berated and hurt and I'm so weak, you know, you know, it's interesting to see them go like yeah. But yeah, this disembowelment scene is quite the scene. I had no idea it was going, and it got worse every single time, and in the most sadistic, psychotic, and all of those ways possible. There's a scene where after they take this girl's like organs out, the two girls who were like killing her start playing with the blood and like flicking it at each other, giggling like ha 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 ha. And I find that scene humorous because it looks like when like two kids are in a pool and they start flicking water into each other's eyes and laughing. So it was bizarre, and I couldn't help but just go like and that's basically all I liked about this film. When I say like that, it's not much of a like. I'm not watching it again. The inclusion of Hank Skinny / the Satanic Killer ruined this film. Oh my god. I thought this film was going great. It was actually better than the rest. And then his ass comes in with his dumbass glasses and dumbass hats, and I wanted to shut it off in that moment. It's just, he fills me with so much rage. I'm so glad he's not a known actor, because I'd never watch any of his films. But yeah, he ruined his film. During the disembowelment scene, he comes in and pathetically cannibalizes and helps with the torturing of this girl. And it just ruined, like, what I said the appeal of before was of, like, women and females doing such thing. Like, sorry to all the men watching, but men are pretty evil, you know. We know they do bad things to women. You know, it's not shocking anymore. There is so much more, like, fetish material and pornography in this film, more than the others. And that makes me uncomfortable. I despise it. I hate it. It's disgusting. If you know anything about me, I'm incredibly against, like, pornography and stuff, so oh, but it's a shock film, and what do you expect? I don't care, I still didn't like it, okay? I think this film represents the trilogy the best. If someone was like, so what are these about? Except I don't really want to sit for like, 3 hours worth of it. I'd say just watch this one and you get the general gist that has all of the gore, the porn, the abuse, the vomit and the piss that you would want to see in these films. And it still does contain some of the crazy editing and flashing and that the other films have, just because the third film isn't as like crazy visually, but the first film is crazy visually, and this one is like a perfect mix of the two. So I recommend it, like if you're interested in this but you don't want to see it for this, but I don't recommend it to anyone. Do not watch this. But yeah, my overall rating was like, I think like a 2 out of 10, because it was just produced well, but I still don't really like it. Anyway, let's get on to the third, and while it's not the final, because there is actually a fourth vomit gore film, I didn't watch that because I don't care, and it wasn't originally supposed to be part of the trilogy, so I'm not going to count it, okay? It's called like some stupid Black Mass of the Nazi Sex Wizard. I don't want to fucking watch that. Yeah, let's get on to the third and final film of the trilogy, Slow Torture Puke Chamber. Now, this film was released in 2010. It is about Angela's descent into hell and her love for Satan, and then she comes back and I think haunts other people. It's something. Now this film is the most forgettable. I don't remember much of it, and boring out of them, but it was the least gory, so I'll give it that. Throughout the film, we have this chick with black hair. I don't remember her name, I'm sorry, but she has really nice green eyeliner. No, eyeshadow. But it was interesting to hear this black-haired chick talk about her history of like abuse and bulimia and just her family and stuff. It was actually really interesting and depressing, and made it more bearable to watch, because also the audio quality was not fucking this film. You can actually understand what they were saying. So there were some points where I was just like actually watching it, just going like, and it would show like one of the few chicks that appear a lot in this film doing something really gross, and I'll be like, I'm just gonna clean my room while I can hear this in the background. And it just made it like it made the story, like overall vibe, more disturbing. The visuals didn't make it that disturbing. After you've sat through the other two films, you're like bulletproof to this shit now, okay? You're just watching it like, alrighty. And there is a lot of cricket eating, which I think is supposed to gross me out, but I think in a lot of places in the world they do in fact eat bugs, so it didn't really bother me. That's basically it. It wasn't all that interesting. It was whatever. It definitely was the least disturbing, definitely. Now let's get on to the things I don't like. Right, this is the easy part. It is so repetitive. This film is so repetitive. There are so many scenes of just, I think there was like, okay, so you had the black-haired chick, some other chick, and I think there was some other chick. I don't remember these girls' faces very well, but it is so repetitive. Because also, if black-haired lady is doing one thing, then blonde-haired is going to do it too. And it keeps switching between them, which was cool at first, but after 15 minutes, that's boring. Okay, I lost interest. So repetitive, and it also mixed in with watching the other films and then watching this one. And in the repetitiveness of that, it just doesn't gross you out and disturb you anymore. You're just watching it like, now, despite what we're talking about, I am, a bit of a Christian, like Jesus, I like God, And there are a lot of blasphemous, I think that's the word, scenes. A lot of worshipping Satan and doing stuff with crosses that I don't like. And I just really hated that about the films. That's all I want to say. I don't really want to describe the scenes. But I felt like, you know, I had to make the prayer a little bit longer that night. Hank Skinny's back again. Shocked to no one. And this scene was so unneeded in this film. And I don't say it because it's gross and it's my least favourite thing that I've ever actually seen. And I felt like I was watching it. Whatever. If you've seen it, you know the pregnant lady / baby scene. This felt really unneeded in the film, and I will not be describing what it's about because I'm already scared. I'm probably going to get this video taken down or something. But he comes in and he does some pretty gross stuff that I don't approve of. And it just felt so unneeded to the film. The rest of this film, I wouldn't say enjoying was the word. Or interesting. I don't know. It was intriguing to hear this girl talk about her abuse like I mentioned before. And then Hank Skinny comes in, does his gross little nasty thing, and it was just so unneeded. The film was fine as it is. Okay, I'm going ahead, but my overall rating for the film, I think, was like, it was a 0.5 out of 10. And it could have been a 1 if this scene was not included. It was revolting. I didn't even watch it because I already heard online, like on Reddit and Letterboxd and TikTok and all of that, like, oh, be warned of this scene. I was like, can't be that bad. Is that bad? I watched like 1 minute and I was like, there is so much love and beauty and joy and everything that I could be witnessing and experiencing and giving right now. I'm not watching this. And that was the only gore scene I can actually recall being in the film. And when I say gore, I mean like, you know, blood and guts and all of that. Like the vomiting, that is its own particular type of gore, but you get what I'm saying. But I remember during this film, I had to pull up on my phone like a chart of like vomit color meanings, and I kept checking it every time like the chicks would throw up in the film because I was getting worried because I know in all of these films the vomiting is real. But red and a lot of red vomit, that does not sound good. I think that's like internal bleeding or something. So I did not like that. But yeah, my overall rating for this film was a 0.5. And I think it's the least important in the trilogy, but the most meaningful, if that makes sense. So, because his story was interesting and intriguing. Okay, this trilogy as a whole, the one good thing that is consistent throughout all these films is the posters. I adore the posters. And me personally, I don't like a lot of movie posters. I think they're really tacky and lame. But I don't like the whole, like, all of the important characters on the film, you know, looking all, like, studious and serious and look at me, I kill people, whatever. I like more artistic ones, which is why I absolutely adore these posters, you know, the crown drawings of, they look so innocent, even though they say stuff like 666, Hail Satan, puke, torture, on them. I still love them because they're just, in the worst way possible, they are adorable, and I love them. They're cute. They stand out among the rest, you know. And while I do believe that Lucifer Valentine is a bad director, writer, producer, actor, whatever, all of those things, he's bad at those. He is a very creative person. I can't deny that. I couldn't even imagine such gore scenes. And he made them and he produced them, so I gotta give him that. Now what I didn't like about all these films is I felt really uncomfortable watching them knowing how bad and abusive Lucifer Valentine is. It's like, so everyone's singing Wizard of Oz, and most people know the abuse that happened behind the sets to all of the actors, you know, all the things that permanently like messed up their health and all of that. So then when you rewatch the film, it's like, so it is hard to watch these films because you have an idea of what happened behind the cameras or when the cameras were off, and you're just watching that, and I wouldn't say appreciate it, but do you get what I'm saying? It's just, I made them a hard watch. And I feel like a lot of the films could have been like a lot shorter, even short films at this point. I mean, they're 60 minutes, but they could have been shorter. Some things could be taken out, some things could be, you know, sped up, chop, get out of here, whatever. But yeah, I can say I've watched this now, but yeah, that's all my thoughts on the films in this trilogy. If you've watched them, let me know what you think below. I'd love to read your opinions, your interpretations, you know, if you agree or disagree with me. Reminder again, I did try and stay on the positive and bright side of life, because you can always find positives in everything, which is hard to do sometimes, but yeah, I'm excited to hear what people think and their reactions. Even if this gets 15 views and one comment saying, your outfit sucks, I would be over the moon, jumping for joy, foaming at the mouth. But yeah, thank you for watching if you made it to the end. I sound like every other YouTube right now. Hope you have a good, pleasant day. If you choose to watch these films after I've talked about them, do not blame me for giving you the idea. That was not me. But yeah, love you, bye.